Well, good morning, everyone. I was really glad to be asked to talk about leadership in my personal journey today, because it's not often you get a chance to do some reflection of the past, in that we're all running at such a high pace of activity every day. I guess you can tell by the grayness around my ears that this isn't the first rodeo that I've been part of. However, each leadership role for me often presented its own set of issues and challenges. Now, let's not kid ourselves. We're not being asked every day to liberate an entire country from prejudice and oppression like the great leader Nelson Mandela. However, like Nelson, don't you feel at times we're being asked to know when and how to transition between the roles of martyr and warrior and statesman? And ironically, that seems to be what great leaders do well. I've chosen to talk about my current role as the leadership journey that I wanted to talk about today. And I selected it not because it's totally different from the others that I've experienced, but because it encompasses such a broad set of challenges for me to overcome. This is the first role that I've had in 3 decades where I am the so-called partner to the line of business. And I always was the line of business, which doled out shelf space to business partners. So I decided which partner at the time was most relevant to meet with or to focus my team's attentions on. And I've always worked for big banks that always bought the other guy. So being on the acquired side had its share of challenges too. Some of my good old friends are no longer here. And you often wonder whether you're going to fit into the culture. And you feel sorry for yourself that you got to prove yourself all over again. But I'm sure some of you in the audience can relate to these kind of transformational events. But change, it's one of the constants in life, and we can always count on it. But for me, the choice has always been to embrace it and then use my ability to figure out how to capitalize on the situation. But sticking with the positive, I was given a neat opportunity to help build something new and exciting from the ground up. That's the type of challenge that gets me and you fired up every day to come to work. And I always believe that challenges provide an opportunity for greatness. It wasn't the first strategic build-out initiative that I've ever led over my career, so there wasn't much fear that I had associated with the task. The only concern that I can remember back then is, are we going to be able to run fast enough to be able to exceed the financial plan that we had in the first year? You know, we all have a unique set of attributes, our ethics, our values, and our character that influence our leadership. But I always believe that you need an honest understanding of who you are, what you know, and what you can do. I never felt that I was the smartest guy in the room, and I vividly remember sitting down 2 years ago during the interviews I had with Deborah and Michelle, faking my way through the knowledge of the business. Thank God it was before the Durbin Amendment, because all of you know how Michelle likes asking questions about interchange during interviews. So for me, this new role was all about keeping true to who I am. That is, know who you are, know what you can do. And so one of the lessons in leadership that I probably practice more than others is understanding the value of relationships. I've learned over the years that having emotional intelligence is so much better than having a great resume full of experience. So many of you at this conference, you came here as well with no experience in the business. And we all agree that you need to build your mastery of the business in order to be relevant. But I feel that if we can just get people to think great about themselves, we can overcome any of that shortcoming of our knowledge. Relationship building for me starts at the first interview or meeting with folks, and I really want to hear what's motivating them to want to seek this position and how they're going to define success in this role. If their dreams are big enough, we're probably off to a good start. And in our roles as partners to the retail and the business bank, this leadership attribute is surely at a premium, and it deserves a lot of our attention. I've also learned that surrounding yourself with good people just isn't good enough these days. We've all hired solid candidates like that over the years, just to see that they lack the commitment and the drive, and they move on to other jobs. What I've come to realize is that it's critically important to inspire a shared vision with your team members and colleagues. For me, a shared vision goes well beyond the personal part, but it encompasses things like, do they have passion for clients? Do they like being a great teammate and a great team member who really thrives in teamwork? And do they have the desire to win? And there's so much more. For sure, execution of a vision is really a team game. And as I look back in my personal journey, I realize that I am closer to the end than the beginning in terms of years. And I wish that a wise person would have given me this advice a long time ago when I only had my eyes focused on results at almost all costs. The message is that caring for people is at the heart of leadership. And if you ever get a chance to look at a team member engagement scores for leaders across this company, I'll bet everything I own that there's a strong correlation between high scores and a caring manager. This kind of servitude is prevalent in the military space, but I think we're better off practicing it more and more in the business world too. Well, thanks all. I look forward to joining you in your journey in merchant services over the coming years.